Hey guys and girls, just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Buzzsprout. Start a podcast today with free podcast hosting for Buzzsprout, easy podcasting software for hosting, promoting, and tracking your podcast. Buzzsprout is the best way to publish a podcast online for secure and reliable hosting to full iTunes support. Get started for free, no credit card required, cancel at any time.
Stats are for losers.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Welcome to the Airing It Out podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Airing It Out podcast. Today, my guest is Seefeldt. He's the president of Mission Trails Little League, and it was an honor to have him on. We talk about life during quarantine. I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
They do, but the big issue is, what do we do? Make sure it's done right.
Yeah, I mean, to take it to the next level, even for that, I mean, I hope everybody does all the right things, but it's going to be bananas to think just playing regular baseball might not even be with fans.
Yeah, well,
you
saw like, I'm sure you've seen, the only thing I've seen with regard to MLB is, obviously they pushed back the season, a couple times, but they've also talked about doing like all teams playing in Arizona with no fans. It's just kind of an interesting perspective, but obviously in the age of media, you could televise games, but Little League's a little bit different in that respect. But half of baseball, from my perspective, and growing up, playing baseball and being a fan of the art and the game of baseball, is being there and being able to hear and smell and see everything. So that's a big bummer. But in the big scheme of things, one season of baseball, one season of Little League, it is a minor sacrifice to make sure, everybody is safe and doing, not contracting anything that they shouldn't, unneeded.
Do you know anybody, because I was just chatting with somebody else on the other podcast, do you know of anybody that's been affected by the coronavirus?
Not. I've got a couple people that I know via either work or personally that they aren't affected directly. They haven't contracted it, but I've got somebody that I know that a family member of theirs unfortunately contracted it and passed away, and they didn't know until after that. But I've got a couple situations like that but it's very distant. Fortunately, knock on wood, nobody very, very close to me. Anybody who contracts it and passes away or anything is definitely a tragedy. But fortunately, we've been pretty lucky with regard to that, at least my immediate family and friends and whatnot. That's
pretty nice in the sense that nobody in your inner circle and the couple circles around you haven't got affected. We were on a rant because it seems like this has been going on in this quarantine life, and this whole deal doesn't seem real at times. It almost seems like, it's just some crazy conspiracy going on. Like when you can lock all of us in our house like this and we can't go outside. And if we go outside, we get a fine. And, I'm sure for you, especially, you're like an outdoorsy dude, you do jujitsu. I was even thinking about that, bro. Imagine you can't even roll around on the mats right now with somebody, right? Like that would be considered putting somebody in harm's way. Right. And it's just like, all of these different things that people are used to doing physically can't even do it. Like you can't even go to the gym right now. Yeah. So it's trippy. It's
crazy. It is. but it's like, but it also, you look at this sort of thing and as surreal as it is sometimes, because I'll be sitting at home and talking with my family, talking with the kids, and saying, hey, but they just don't really understand, because
right.
They've got
my kids don't get it either.
My kids are 11 and one's like under 10. He's 8, so he's like,
right.
I
get
don't
to play
know,
all day. Right.
Yeah. So they grasp it a little bit. They talk about it. They talk about, the coronavirus. They talk about this. They talk about, COVID-19 and what it entails. So they get it. But, from an adult standpoint, you look back at, our, lives, whether it be short or however much experience we have. And it's looking back and saying, there's nothing really like this, that has happened like this. There's been times, like maybe like the generation before us, like Cold War era, where people were super concerned with, building bomb shelters and things like that, that were maybe along the same lines, not experiencing, I'm not comparing or anything, but, it's just very surreal. But at the same time, then you look at it and, talking about, say, for instance, baseball, I coach my son's team, and they're all, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And I've been sending them out drills every week to send to their parents, just a quick drill. That's a 1.5-minute video that they can do at home, one hitting, one pitching. And then I have like someone from the league throw it up on the Facebook and the social media. So, it's something I started doing for my kids, because I'm like, hey, I volunteered to coach this team, right? And I owe it to the kids to continue building their baseball understanding, their baseball skills, their fundamentals. I owe that to them because I volunteered. I didn't volunteer because of any other reason than to help the kids, and because obviously I love baseball. So I think that helps it out a lot.
Yeah, no, that's go ahead.
But I think it's like from the mentality of what we're doing right now, it's so different. I mean, but it's a lot of creativity. Like for instance, my kids, and myself, like there's our jiu-jitsu professor is doing Zoom calls for jiu-jitsu, where he's keeping it very simple. And he's like, hey, these are things you can do either with a dummy, you can do by yourself, strength and conditioning drills, grappling drills that you can do kind of by yourself or maybe with your brother or sister. And my kids both do it, and they get around, they wrestle around for a little bit. And, they practice through repetition, and they learn that drill or that skill, and then they're able to take that and use it on their own. But nothing is the same as, baseball live, practicing those drills in person, obviously. So it's just an adjustment, I think, on all of our account.
I know I think that something that came out of this whole thing that I find interesting too is how we learn now. And I'm a YouTube junkie, right? So I learn everything from YouTube in a large perspective. And now seeing everybody go into video teaching is insane, right? Like, so my friends in New York, they're still training their clients with video, bro. You're talking about, thank you, Sensei, for, sending that out to me. Thanks, Coach, for sending it out to me. When people are still making money by telling you, hey, check this out. You're going to turn on this, and I'm going to send you a couple of videos, and you put this on, and we're going to work this out. It's fucking insane, bro. That
yeah, it is. I mean, that you're absolutely right. It's interesting because, it's all about the connection to the individual as well, right? Because like I could take and send my kids, like you said, I could go online and find 50 to 100 to 150 YouTube videos of exactly the drill that I want to do or I want to teach that day, right? But is that the same as me and, me spending time with my son, my daughter recording us and kind of doing it and having fun with it, and me, talking, being able to connect with the kids and the kids being able to see me? So there's that connection piece, that community piece, I think is really important, especially now with the kids. Even the kids, we talked about the kids not really realizing it. They do know that something's out there, and they do know something's different. So some version of normalcy, even if it is completely, to your point, like YouTube off the deep end. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I go to YouTube for everything too. I went to YouTube to fix my ice maker the other day, and it was like, boom, 5-minute video, and I had it fixed, and I had no idea what was wrong with it. But by the end, I completely understood. Now I'm like an ice maker, expert, because you just watch YouTube for some guy who was just likes to do YouTube videos. He's like, hey, let me show you how to fix an ice maker on a Whirlpool G1000, and it's like, dude, you just saved me, $800. Thanks, bro.
Dude, it's insane, bro. I've done the same thing at work. We had a machine, went on YouTube, bro. I found the weather part what's the size of the part. I became, like you said, a slushy genius machine guy. I figured out how to take it apart and how to put it back together within, let's say, 3 hours of just nonstop watching videos and be like, all right, cool. I kind of got the concept. Now I gotta go fuck with it, right? And then see, and then pull it back up if I can't commit it to memory. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like I said, even with me, dude, I'm really trying. This is a test run. This is still in the beta phase, but I'm trying to do this shit. I'm trying to go video too because we can't hang out with people. It sounds crazy, bro. You can't hang out with motherfuckers. It's against the law. Think about that, bro. It's technically against the law to hang out with other people right now. So, yeah, I mean, I know they're going to open up eventually, but what we're going to open up to eventually is the funny thing. But I'm glad a lot of people are already getting on the video bandwagon, and so am I. I don't want to be one of the late guys.
Yeah, and I think it's all relative too. I think that the like California has the guidelines in place, right? They say stay at home, but only go out if it's essential. And I think what they're saying is be smart in what you do, where you hang out with, and there's there's a quote, I can't remember, I was reading it the other day, and I think that I actually think it was either Queen Elizabeth or someone, stated it the other day. There's three types of people. There's people that either, during chaos either engulfs them and they surrender, for lack of better words, and let it kind of control them. It doesn't change what they do, or they engulf chaos and they control the chaos. And I think you have those three types of people out there. You have the people who aren't leaving home, and that's perfectly fine. And they don't leave home and they're ordering, stuff from Amazon and doing this, and doing that. And then you have the people who are still doing what they were doing, a month ago. They're still like going to work because they're essential or they need to, or that, or they're in law enforcement, they're doing something to that effect. And then you have people who are like, well, here, I'm going to make sure that I can't do things the way that I was doing them, but I understand that I have to adapt, and you have to be smart about things. And yeah, you can't hang out with your friends, but you know what? It's 2 months. You may have not known your friend for like 20 years and you're not able to hang out with them for those 20 years. What's 2 months? So, but you can talk to them. You can, a couple of my buddies that I've known for my whole life, we get on every Friday night, every Saturday night, we get on and we play video games. We play a stupid video game where all four of us get on a pirate ship and we go and we have no idea what the heck we're doing. But you know what? It's not about the video game. It's not about winning. Guess what? It's about the connection and getting to hang out with your boys. It's different. You're not hanging out. You're not seeing them. You're not, but you're still able to, give them crap. You're still able to, make fun of them. You're still laughing. You're still being goofy. You still, they're able to like crack a beer and talk about stuff, but it's different. And I think it's just about adjusting, to your point, it's a different world, but I think it's just about slightly adjusting to things. Especially if you've got, like, my parents are older, so I'm like screaming at my parents. Our generation is probably screaming at our parents, if they're close or wherever they're at, be like, don't leave your freaking house, dude, just stay there. Especially like in New York. Oh my gosh, like the older population has to be just absolutely terrified. I couldn't imagine it. So it's different.
Yeah, dude, that was nuts for them. I was very worried about all my family over there, especially when they were starting to talk about how deadly it was going to be. But to finish that up, for sure, when you look at it, I think for us it's different because we're used to that kind of different camaraderie, right? Like the whole video game subculture of dudes playing games and chatting and being on distance. I'm not on Messenger. I'm sure that was like a thing when we were in the 90s, but like our versions have evolved and dudes play Halo and play Call of Duty, and maybe it's not always a pirate ship, but now it seems like those things have come to the forefront, right? Where video chatting, where, video teaching, nobody would have thought people would have freaked out so much without having it, right? Like if you had to be stuck in your crib and you couldn't see or talk to somebody else, but the same people you had, it'd be kind of trippy. And then trying to, integrate that kind of teaching into the masses. Like my mom right now, they got classes online. You show up every day. You got to go through the class. The teacher's like taking attendance. It's crazy that by little we're trying to make things work, but it just brings me back. Like me and Tabby, we're looking at we bought a bunch of board games, and bro, in like 30 years, bro. I never would have thought I would have bought that back. A board game,
Did you
right?
buy some
Because
good ones?
we bought a couple. She wanted backgammon, right? I
Okay.
think that's the name of the game. I don't know how to play, but now I do. It's okay. I wanted chess. I like chess, but chess is like a little bit too cerebral, so I didn't want to like make it that much of a mental thing. And then we played what else did you get? We got Uno. Uno was fire. Uno was
fun.
endless. Yeah.
And you can play with
just
kids.
keep going.
You
Right.
can
That's
flip
why
them out, flip them
that's
over,
why
yeah.
I got it. That's what I got it. They got tired though, because somebody wants to win, right? Candyland, we got, and I didn't even know how Candyland worked. That was a trip because there's no dice. I'm used to like board
No.
games having dice.
Yeah, it's a different one. And then like life too. It's got the little spinner. And you don't
really?
have to, yeah, you like have a car, and then now like you like put little pegs when you get married. And our kid, my 8-year-old talk about, well, I don't know if I want a wife or if I just want a job that pays really well. I'm like, there you go, buddy. You're learning.
That's messed up. You be having the life lesson. Play that game.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense.
So it's interesting. But yeah, we're doing the same thing, board games, and it's fun. But at the same time, like, okay, you get to connect with your kids, you connect with your family. We have family movie night where each one of us gets to pick a movie, and it's funny, like we watched Back to the Future, and our kids were like, oh my gosh, this is an old movie and I don't want to watch it. 10 minutes in, they were like glued to the television, glued to it, and we paused it. I think we paused it to like make popcorn, and our kids were like, oh, what are you doing, don't pause it. And now, like, literally as it ended, they're like, can we watch part 2? And we're like, well, next week. So we went, and my daughter got to pick the movie, and sure enough, she picked Back to the Future Part 2, and we watched it. They loved it. So it's kind of, you're able to share that piece, like Uno or backgammon or chess or whatever it is, Back to the Future. Share it with your kids because you have nothing else to do. You're just locked up.
I know, that's what I'm saying, man. It's pretty insane. Like, you got to make days out of it, and you got to like wake up and like give them the teaching program, and I mean, like the homeschooling thing. There's like so much now. Right? It's like you got to keep the routine with them. And I mean, fuck, I have no idea. I think it's like, they said it was 40 days last night when I checked, 40 days without sports. So if it's been, 40 days without sports, it's been, 40 days that we've been in this situation. And I don't know, coming up with new, exciting things for them. You don't want them to just be like TV junkies, but even for the normal person, this is crazy. Like right now in a little bit, I'm headed to the store, and like that's already seeming like such a big hurdle I gotta climb right now, because it's like, fuck, I gotta go put on all this mask shit. I gotta go out, put on the gloves. I mean, I don't know how serious you're taking it. Some people have like been pretty liberal about not wearing masks. I thought this was like mandated, but people are already striking too. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
I've seen a little bit of it, like in different states, and people are having issues with staying at home. Yeah, protesting and having it. And you know what? People are going to do whatever they want to do. But I don't know. I mean, you look back at history. When things like this, this is unprecedented. But you look at the Spanish flu. You look at there's other influenza, pandemics, epidemics, and it all works itself out. But it's at the same time, I get it. Like we're in such a world, like even in the last 20 years during our lifetime, that we've transcended from to digital and getting the information now. I mean, look at people right now. I mean, think about like if we were to hang out 20 years ago, and you and I were talking about, and you're like, dude, what's the name of that guy in the movie that he's always in those movies, and you don't know about it, and then like 30 days later you remember who it is, or you see another movie and you look at the back of it, like your VHS. Now what do? Oh, right on the internet, IMDb, right? And you look at what it is. So they're used to that information so quickly that I think that not being able to be out is and be present amongst other people is just really getting to some people. And I think that there's some stirring of the pot in certain communities or groups of people, and that's fine. But no, man, when I go out, I wear a mask. I'm around my parents, I wear a mask. And I've done that since like day one. Just wearing, I was wearing like a little snowboard cover, like a kind of like a bandana. And then we got a couple masks, and I wear it like every time I leave. No, I don't wear it when I'm driving in the car by myself. But when I get out and I'm amongst other people, my big concern is I'm not necessarily concerned about myself. I'm more concerned about the other people and them being comfortable, them being comfortable around me. Like, I don't want them to look at me and be like, oh, he's not wearing a mask. It's a minor thing for me to wear a mask. It's who cares?
I know what a trip, bro. Gotta turn into like cowboys and like walking in the streets, bro. Fucking nuts. So crazy.
Yeah. And it's like you watch people like, they're walking, we're walking our dog, we have 2 dogs. We have a bulldog, which, he can walk around the block. That's about it. But we have a dog that can walk a ways, and, we walk, and people are like, they see you and they go on the other side of the road, which is fine. And I get it. But at this, they're very friendly, but at the same time, like there's this sense of community as well. Like someone drives by and you're sitting out front of your house and they wave, or you go to, people are just a lot more understanding and friendly, it appears, probably because they have a lot of big stress relief from their lives, maybe with not going to work and working from home. But at the same time, man, there's some people that like they're out in like stores and stuff that they're just bad, not bad people, but they're just really grumpy. I'm like, they want to cut in line. They want to get there. They want to do this. They don't want to listen. And I mean, you're going to have bad apples, or you're going to have, some outliers no matter what. So I think I just kind of roll with the punches and say, okay, if they want to protest and say that they don't want to stay home, all right. I hope that none of them, get sick or get anybody else sick, because that would be a real bad thing. But it's America. They're allowed to protest if they don't like something.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy that they would even consider, after all of the things that everybody's saying, gathering in such big groups and taking a chance to like make some noise just because everybody's got to stay home. But I don't know. Being home for 30 days and having all of this stuff go down and seeing how it's really affected life, like, definitely things are a lot different, and all these other stuff that you got to go through, like the simple shit is not even simple anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, just having to go to the grocery store right now and not having to trip out about like, oh man, can't touch this, can't touch that. I'll be wiping down all the groceries, bro. It's gonna be such a pain in the butt. And then we buy groceries for the whole I don't know, I'm not gonna say 2 weeks, but we don't have the kids this week, so We'll probably buy for like 9 days, but still, I'm gonna bring all of that in and put it away, kind of relax. I don't know. On a Sunday, this is.
I hear that.
This is
but then again, getting out and getting to the store, it gives you something to do.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been like a psycho nut, bro. I've been like trying to figure out how to get this live situation, not live, but different format for recording going down, that kind of went down a different bunch of different rabbit holes, working on a show. I'm
sure there's 20 different types of, possibilities, and then different recordings and different formats, and what works best and what sounds the best and what's the best quality. I'm sure you could get down. You could spend all night just researching how to do it, not necessarily executing anything at all.
Oh my God, dude. It's been a pain in the butt. I'm like, wow, shit. I wish I would have went to college for this shit at times. But I didn't think it was gonna all go down in this sense. But it is what it is. I'm hoping that I feel like we are gonna rebound. It's just gonna be interesting to see what it's like rolling itself out. Because there's no way. I mean, now people are protesting, so I don't know. People are maybe calling a little bullshit on some things. I mean, I don't know. There's just so much conflicting stuff that I just still find it nuts that we're gonna have the UFC, and eventually everybody's gonna start. I mean, the UFC seems to be gonna be the driving force. I don't know how quick they got it settled in, but it's supposed to be happening soon.
Yeah. So what I heard, Tony Ferguson, Khabib, that was like basically the fight of the year, right?
Right.
And I think that was like the fourth or fifth time that they had to reschedule due to, I think Khabib had a couple, maybe one weight issue, and Tony had some injuries, and it's just like a cursed fight. And I mean, I follow Eddie Bravo. I love Eddie Bravo. He's one of Tony's jiu-jitsu I believe he's Tony's jiu-jitsu coach. If not, I don't think he's his head coach, but man, he's just saying that Tony Ferguson looks great, and I mean, Khabib is just a monster. And I was so looking forward to it. And I think that's something that, and I think the main reason that, I mean, obviously, Dana is a businessman, Dana White, and he wanted to, definitely roll it out. But a big piece of it is like giving some, I don't like, hope might not be the best word because, maybe over dramatizing, UFC. But you look at after, 9/11 when, the Mets and the Yankees played in the World Series, right? Remember like how that was kind of like,
yeah.
That's huge for like a rebound and things like that. And I'm not comparing, baseball to UFC, but I think it's important that, we have something to focus on. Like, and, now the last I watched, that's something I do follow. I follow Ariel Helwani and everybody, they're reporting on. And this whole new thing is the UFC Dana White's Fight Island, where they're going to have an island where they fly everybody in, they test them, and they fly everybody out, and they're able to televise it. And quite honestly, dude, they could charge like $150 for it because people like they'll watch it. There's no other sporting events and stuff.
That's what I was going to ask today. I had somebody ask me, "You think it'll be 150?" Right? Because how much would you charge? Because there's nothing on. They could kill, bro. Right? Well, because you got to think about bars would buy that package too. So you'd probably make more of your money commercially on that fight than you would, residentially. So I wonder, because like now that you're home with the fam, they have like the new rentals is like $20 for the movie. I mean, that's $4.99, $20. That's like a three times the markup. I mean, I don't know how much it would cost to watch it. So if it's 100, if you mark it up 3 times, right? That's usually how much UFC costs, right? Or is it now a subscription on ESPN?
Well, you got 2 types. So you can ESPN Plus, which is what I think it's like maybe $5, $6, $7 a month. I could be completely off by that.
I don't think it's expensive. Yeah, it's like Netflix.
Let's say it's like $5 to $10 a month. You're talking $60 to $120 a year, right?
You get those fights,
but then
no.
You get some of them. You don't. So they kind of
gotcha.
So that's
smart of them to do.
Yeah. So they'll put some on ESPN Plus. I wouldn't say the lower level fights, but like the median fight. They'll put on ESPN Plus. But like the big bangers, like you're talking about John Jones. You're talking about headliners. Khabib. Yeah. Dude, they're going to be on pay-per-view. So those are going to be, but I think if you're ESPN Plus subscriber, you get a discount or something. But I think they would have a great opportunity on twofold. Yeah, they could charge $100 and people would probably pay for it, or they could cut it and charge like $25 and get a heck of a lot. Like, what's the supply and demand? Would you rather sell 50 at $100, or would you rather sell 500 at $25?
Listen, I totally get that for sure.
So who knows what they'll do, or maybe they'll be like, "Hey, it's free," and get back there and maybe get some major backers, major sponsors out there. Because let's be honest, there are.
That's what I thought. The cool thing would be to make it for free, right? Because then that would blow UFC to like a whole nother level. Whereas like these guys could have made a gazillion, but they passed, and then it's more of a philanthropy. Now UFC comes out of this thing looking like on top of the world, right? I mean,
and then plus if
storyline,
put good fights on, it's just going to be absolutely amazing.
Crazy.
Who knows? I mean, who knows if it'll even happen? I mean, who knows? I don't know. But I talking about major sporting events. Like, what about the NFL? NFL starts in August. And I don't know.
And it's a contact sport, bro.
I don't know. Like,
You're gonna get hit, bro.
I don't know if that's gonna happen. Who knows if that's gonna happen? I don't know what's going on with it.
I think for the NFL, it's going to be really interesting because I think the draft is this weekend. They haven't had an opportunity really to see guys with their own eyeballs, right? They're going to be drafting guys based on just college and videos, right? Bringing it back to the video conversation. So now, I mean, Joe Burrow seems to be a lock, right? But I seen something today. They're talking about him being the second pick. I thought it was going to be the number one pick overall. I don't know if that's the consensus from the group, but I think the Bengals have the number one pick in the NFL draft, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been dangling poor Andy Dalton out for a while. So they said they're in the market for a quarterback, but the word is on the street that they're going to entertain offers. But again, the draft is such a personal thing that to not have an audience, the draft has been televised for God knows how long, bro. That's like to me, I'm a big NFL fan, bro. Draft day, I'm like super hyped. I'm already kind of pissed off. They separated it in days. I'm like, you guys are raping it now. Because before it used to be just 2 or 3 days, I think. Now they make it like 4 or 5, where they have like the first round and then they break it down to a bunch of other days. Before, I think it was like the first, second, and third round on one day, and then the other days on other days. But I can't 100% recall. But either way, do all of this stuff. How are you gonna have OTAs? How are you gonna have training camp? I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off. They're gonna have a short season too.
I mean they can't have training camps. Training camps are. Spring ball should start in a couple of weeks, if not, in May. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you're gonna have social distancing or during 7-on-7. That's rough, man. I don't know. Even with baseball, like you start a baseball right now, all these guys have been they haven't been practicing for a month and a half.
That's what I told somebody. I just said in the last episode, bro. I'm like, bro, people haven't been playing. When you don't play, when you don't get that repetition, there's a lot of rust that kind of comes on kind of quickly. I mean, you're just not going to roll these guys out. These guys are ready to roll, and then they put it on pause. I don't think it's that easy to just kind of jump it out for whether it's the baseball players or if the NFL has a shortened season and they have to play, or if they started the playoffs right now and started the NBA. Because that's going to be horrible, sloppy sport watching, even though they're pros. Because a lot of that shit is muscle memory. And if you haven't fucking done it in 40 days, it's not the same thing. And I don't even know, without having fans cheering you on and having the pressure or the love put onto your game, I have no idea how that's gonna translate for the next coming months. But I mean, they were already talking about canceling Comic-Con for 2021. So if they're saying shit like that, bro.
Well, I saw that WonderCon, which is in Anaheim, that was pushed off to 2021. Right. Comic-Con, I saw the other day, was canceled, and that's a huge piece of revenue for the city of San Diego. I mean, it's been here for a long time. That just brings so much to the entertainment industry. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, beyond this year. But who knows?
Are you at all concerned about San Diego's economy being a resident?
Yeah, I mean, I think the economy as a whole is so volatile. I don't think that a lot of I'm sure a lot of people understand it. I'm sure a lot of people over analyze it, but the economy is such a volatile thing. I mean, you look at the stock market and something happens, like somebody says they release something like a press release and everything is good, but there's one thing in there that they say that, well, it could be this or it could be that, and their stock tanks. The economy is just so volatile. I'm not necessarily concerned with San Diego's economy. You know, I think that you know, from the San Diego's one of the strongest tourism economies probably in the U.S. So I think that once everything kind of gets turned back on, they'll be fine. And I think for a while, people will want to come to San Diego because it's like, man, I had the vacation planned, or you know what, after this, like I want to go to San Diego. So, you know, long term, I'm not. Short term, yeah, I think the economy as a whole, there's some serious repercussions that happened and will continue to happen with regard to the economy. I mean, you look at, you know, the service industry. You look at, you know, like you look at. I mean, when Disney starts furloughing people, you know, that's like a big pause, and you're like, oh man, Disney. Like Disney is a superpower, you know. That's tough, but not concerned. I would say more aware, because I think it's something that will just be very, you know, hills and valleys sort of thing.
I'm concerned, dude. I'm super concerned about the economy in the sense of San Diego. You're telling me that Comic-Con is gone. How much money the Padre revenue brought in? I mean, I have no idea if they're going to start that engine up. And then if they do, how many people are going to want to go? I mean, it seems like people are itching to go to the beach. I don't see the turn on happening. If they're canceling Comic-Con, that's a huge deal. Disneyland is not even, it was said indefinitely. Disneyland was like, we're not even thinking about it this year. So the bars and the restaurants, I mean, I don't even know, dude. I can't, because I have kids. I don't know if I'd want to go to a bar for a while, bro. And I'm in the bar industry myself. That shit is fucking nuts for me to say that, right? Because if I catch something and I bring it to my family, I'd be so pissed. You know, even if I was following or doing all the right things, I'd feel like I messed up somehow along the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, put at risk. I mean, I guess before when I was single, it was different. But, you know, having kids, you know, you just be like a little bit more precautious. But I don't know. I'm telling you, dude, I think this is like San Diego. They were doing all right. This is going to fuck them up big time, dude. This is going to take a blow. I mean, I hope the switch turns on as quickly as people, you know, as my man Donald Trump just thinks like it's going to get turned down. No problem. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I hope it goes that way. I hope it gets turned down easy like they say it does. I really hope that we just go back to things-ish normal. But when you're talking about you got to wear masks to go outside, you can't hang out with people. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to feel comfortable. Excuse me. I don't think a lot of people will feel comfortable until there's a vaccine. And even that, you know, then you're going to have the anti-vaxxers that are out there as well. There's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but, you know, out there saying, you know, that they're not going to get it. So, you know, I think no matter what you do, you're not going to please everybody. I think the big piece is, you know, the world economy, the U.S. economy, the California, the San Diego economy is important, but, you know, at the same time, people's health should take precedent, you know. But I'm not a city planner. I'm not an economic expert. You know, I'm just a guy. But when things do get back to, you know, I don't think things will ever get back to the way they were. And I'm not saying that in a scary way. I'm just saying I think things will just be different. I think people will be, and by different, that could be, you know, people will be more appreciative of what they have. People, you know, it'll be a little different with regard, you know, it's definitely going to change. I think it'll change education a lot, and not in a bad way. I think it'll change it in a good way. And I don't think that there won't be schools anymore or anything extreme like that. I just think it'll change education. I think it'll change how we communicate, and who we communicate with, and where we go and whatnot. So, but who knows when that gets back to normal, or gets back to free and open, you know? So, but a vaccine could come out, you know, March of next year, you know. Until then, you know, it's just everybody's aware. I mean, is it really that bad if you go out and you go to work, you have to wear a mask? No, it's not that bad. It's not what we're used to, but in 2 or 3 months, that might be what we're used to.
That's true. Do you work from home or no?
I do sort of. So, I work in the retail industry. So, I'm able to work from home a couple days a week. I have been working from home, for the last 2 weeks. But usually I travel quite a bit. So I'll travel to different parts of the U.S. and focus on the markets there. And but ever since this all rolled out, I've been just managing my business and my people from home. And able to really, look at it from that perspective. So that's easy.
So for you, how does it feel? Because I was hearing on Joe Rogan a lot of the comedians that hit the road. They're finding a little bit of an introspection based at their home. How's the time at home made you reflect? Because you say you travel a lot normally. Is it better? Do you miss being out on the road? Are you happy being home more?
I love being home. I love the family life. I love the kids. I think that I miss I like traveling. I like getting out, and I like seeing people and seeing different parts. And what's great is traveling. Sometimes I'll be in, let's say I'm in Seattle. Well, the wife and kids will come up after, and we'll go see. We'll go spend the weekend in Seattle. So I think I miss that, being able to go and see those places and whatnot. But that'll come back. I don't miss being on airplanes. I don't miss getting up at 6 a.m. And having to make this, and then making hotel reservations and going here and going there, and eating out. Home cooked meals are fantastic. So it's an adjustment, but wouldn't say I miss it. But I will say that when I'm traveling, that I miss home life. So I'm definitely taking advantage of being at home and spending quality time. We a friend of mine, a friend that I've known since I was 2. He's been my best friend my whole life. We were able to kind of we've been seeing each other the whole time throughout this whole thing. And kind of, I wouldn't say quarantining together, but consistently together. And, so our kids get together and they play, they ride bikes and whatnot, within a decent distance. And so it's just different, it's just, but that's something that me and my son can do, and just be like, hey, you want to go on a bike ride? And then my daughter and I have been, doing, some of her schoolwork together. And then, I can go on, walks either by myself, or walks with one of them, or walks with the wife, or do this or do that. It's just something very different that you can adjust to, but it makes you appreciate what you have. I think that's for certain.
Yeah, no, it's kind of nice to have that little small reset, to be able to get some family time in. Right, because everybody's always working. We got a little bit of the siesta, but a little different version of it. It's definitely kind of cool for the guys and gals that have the families that don't get a chance to really spend time. But trying to battle that with the fact that people are losing jobs. Some people don't want it. Some people can afford to be home, right? And so that brings a whole nother level. It's nice when you can, and and everything is not that bad. I'm kind of happy to be out on this side a little bit too. There's a lot of, really rad families, and everybody kind of looks out for each other. Me and Tabby were super bummed about the Little League this season. We were super stoked to get Wolfric all up and running. So
trust me, I think I'm probably just as bummed, if not more bummed, the kids. I love being out there. I love being a part of the community. And I mean, you look at, the bittersweet thing is, look at our opening day, man. Like, we had a great opening day, and everybody was laughing, having fun. And we had, a council member there, and dude, we're just like, we're dialed in. Like, we're getting new this, we're getting new that. The fields are going to be redone. What Little League can say they had freaking Tony Gwynn Jr. come out and throw the first pitch? Nobody. We did, and we got just a really good. And the first set of games was great, and then it's like, whoa, full stop. But a good thing is that community doesn't go away. you may lose some outliers, you may lose some inner circle, but the same part, whenever we start this, Little League back up or wherever it stands, that's still going to be there. It's definitely a bummer that the season is probably, for the most part, not going to happen, or going to happen in a different manner. But who I feel really bad for is, like my daughter. She's a 12-year-old, and it's her last year in Little League, and there's probably 20 kids. So last year in Little League, that was like their swan song. They're like last hurrah. They were the seniors. They were the big people on the field. They were the people everybody looked up to, and they were the 12-year-olds. So that's who I'm bummed out for her, and I'm bummed out for all of them too, and I'm bummed out for the parents and the managers and the coaches who put their time into it. But I think at the end of the day, number one, the managers and the coaches, I think 99.9% of them volunteer because they're there for the kids, not there for them. And I think that the kids are, like we talked about in the beginning, the kids are resilient. At the end of the day, they're still going to have great memories from Little League. The fact that they didn't have a 12-year-old year isn't going to affect any of those memories. It's just going to be a bummer. So I think, those things that we teach those kids along the way are going to be important, and learn to deal with them and roll with the punches. So I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, it's a bummer. There's no other way to describe it. It stinks.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to share that a little bit, because I've never seen somebody so hyped about it. I don't think she expected to be so excited about it, and then it got her, and then it kind of stole her heart a little bit. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So crazy. There's so many different crazy things, but how like when you come into the new year, like, oh, this is gonna be my New Year's resolution. It almost feels like 2020 might not even happen, right? Where you're like
2020
the plans, the plans, the expectations, the ideas, the thoughts, the aspirations you had. It's like, we're gonna put this shit on pause. And I gotta say, it's been a really great time to reflect, even though I've been extremely reflective lately, more so than other times in my life. But yeah, this is definitely put a lot more things in perspective. You definitely think about all this stuff that's important to you, and then something like this happens, and then it kind of really aligns what's really important.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You could say whatever the fuck you want to say, but when they pull the plug, it's like, oh shit, things changed. This is a really eye-opening moment for me in a lot of ways, where it was almost like the definition of, you can't plan, or enjoy the moment, one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can plan this dope shit, but it might not happen, and then you might be a brat at this cool thing that's happening, but you're not even embracing the whole situation that's really happening, because nothing, it's almost like it really is real. Nothing's promised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it is. It's funny. Like you think about, like if you have plans, I don't know if you have plans in like October or November, whatever. You're like, oh yeah. I mean, no, that's like, that's a long ways away. And then you're like, oh crap, not really.
Right.
But we had plans to go to a wedding and over Memorial Day, and they decided to move their wedding to, I think they moved it to September, and I think I think it's the right thing to do, but now I'm thinking like, shoot, like, is September early enough, or September late enough? Like, should they move it to next year? But at some point you just have to be like, okay, hold on. We need to figure out, we have to make a decision. It's tough. Like, you talk about, things like, marriages, things like, think about all the kids like that aren't graduating. They are graduating, but it's just different.
Right.
Bro,
I was yelling about birthdays. Think about all the people that birthdays just got shitted on.
Yeah.
Bro, me and Tevin, right now, we're supposed to be in Mexico, my friend. We're supposed to be.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. It was like, fuck.
That's a bummer.
These sons of bitches.
but at the same time, like, you look at what like California did, and like whether people's views on Governor Newsom are good, indifferent, or bad, or whatever their views are. Man, you have to give it to him that his leadership has been spot on. Like he was one of California was one of the first ones to really enact a stay at home, and look at the look at the numbers, and yeah, who knows how accurate the numbers are? I don't. But if you look at the numbers that everybody's putting out there, and you look at just what's going on in like Florida, and other unfortunately what's going on New York and New Orleans, and where they didn't necessarily do the stay at home and they were still out in public. Man, I mean, it's nearly catastrophic what that looks like with regard to the infections and more importantly, like the death rate is tough, really, really rough. So, I have, I'm positive in thinking that, things are going to be good in what's going on, in the future. And like you said, it'll make us appreciate what we have and not worry about what we don't have.
Yeah, no kidding. That's definitely been a learning lesson about what you have and valuing what you got already. I mean, I don't know. I would have, being from New York, I'm happy I'm in California, just because it would have been. I don't even know what's ahead for them, and then having to deal with that whole thing over there. The population is crazy here, at least in California. I mean, it's a little easier to stay away from people.
Yeah.
In New York, comparison to where we live around here, there's not that many people around, Yeah. So my family's over there and they're crazy, but apparently they're getting through it. Seems like there's gonna be some back and forth, but I give a lot of kudos to Governor Newsom. I think he crushed. I think for whatever California did or didn't do, whether they, the new speculation now is that we could have had it before, so there was already a herd immunity. They're just making up stories, bro. They gotta fill the airwaves with something. But all of that stuff comes into consideration when, who knows how this thing really moves, because they don't. But how lucky it is to be a Californian and not have been dealt the same kind of hand that other cities are going to be dealing with, and it's kind of unfortunate.
Like you said, like everyone has their own view on it, and now because everyone is at home, everyone's got either a talk show or platform to talk about their opinions, and I think it's great. But where it really comes, or really the issue with that is now you've got people who are like, whoa, like I really like Bill, and Bill's got a podcast, or Bill's the anchor on the local radio station, and he says, hey, this is due to XYZ. Now that person believes it because they believe Bill, and so that's where, and this, like, from what I've seen, the experts really don't even know. Like they have their kind of the bones of it. They understand what that perspective is, but they don't know, how it's passed from person to person. They're not 100% sure. And to their credit, I think they should be focusing on, the big picture. And that's why it's like, hey, stay at home, don't go out unless it's essential. I mean, but when we look back, like, 2 or 3 years from now, I'm hoping that we all look back and say, it's a tough couple of months, but, we saved a whole bunch of lives, and we realized that, life is precious, or that, we appreciate what we have. And, I think, I'm an optimist, and I like to think of it that way. And, we can do that while we're sitting next to our buddy at the baseball game, or we're sitting next to him on the couch watching the football game, so probably, that's a ways away, but at least that's something we can look forward to.
Yeah, I know. That's supposed to be the carrot on the end of the stick, driving the force. Hopefully we get there someday. But I felt that a lot too. I mean, there was tons of influence. I mean, it's crazy to think that we started out saying that masks didn't help, and then we circled the wagons and came back that was like, oh wait, no, masks do help. It's like, wait, what? What did you guys say? So
Yeah.
30 days ago, you guys knew what you guys were talking about, and then now you guys really know what you're talking about now? Get out of here, man. This is what a mess.
Yeah.
It's just made so many smart people look so bad. It's really, 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 at least, there's been a lot of people affected, but at least it shows everybody's human. Nobody's imperfect, right? Some of these people that are glorified and lifted up, it's like, no, dude. At the end of the day, that guy puts his pants on one leg at a time. We're not. Yep. Nobody's jumping in pants here, right? And whether it's celebrities, botching up things on the net, or President Smith's quoting themselves or not quoting themselves, or everybody else who doesn't seem right now to be like, getting the public eye in the right way. It's just been nuts, because at the end of the day, you would have thought if somebody needed something, you would give it to them, right? You wouldn't have, this is, I couldn't even imagine playing president right now. I've always wanted to be GM of a sports franchise, but I would never want to be president.
Yeah, it's an interesting job right now, but at the same time, like you said, everybody has, makes mistakes, everybody makes errors, but they're just so much more magnified, at that level. It's difficult. It can't be easy. I don't envy them. Anybody at any level, from politicians to leaders, I don't envy them at all. But I think for the most part, I think a lot of them rely on the people around them, the experts, or the people who are doing the research, the people that are in the trenches, for lack of better words. Right. And they, I think they, for you look, I think we've, you talk about the mask thing. We made we had a hypothesis. They made an educated guess or educated decision, and then they went back and they said, hold on, let's roll this back, and we probably need to reconsider this, and why. And they did, and I think that's good. And the U.S. is such a unique model from a political level, is that places like China, and it works for them. They can take a national what they can do is they can take from a national level and they can shut down the whole nation. Oh man, you see what happened in Michigan. You can't shut down a whole nation, but you've got states that are shutting down individual, because the states have their own democracy. The states have their own rights, states' rights. That was passed hundreds of years ago, and what goes into that, that's still relevant today. And where the states, you talk about, states on the West Coast talking about when they can reopen and do things. Well, that doesn't necessarily apply to Louisiana, because Louisiana is still, they just shut down a week and a half ago.
Right. Yeah.
So they're still in for some crud, but it's got to be tough right now for everybody. But I think at the end of the day, I think as a human race, as a nation, as whatever, I think exactly what you said. You have your micro communities of the people that you see every day, whether you know them by name or you know them because you love them or because you've known them your whole life. You have those micro communities, and you have those macro communities, which is like, the whole city or the whole state. And I think that most people genuinely care about other people. I know for me, like every time I go to a grocery store, every time I go to, Costco or whatnot, I tell the cashier that's checking me out, I tell the person who's, whether they're bagging or they're working, I'm like, hey, if I ask them a question, I'm like, thank you for working today. It's just because how often do they hear that? And they're out there, they're going, to your point, like they're out there every day, they have families, they have lives, but they're out there amongst, 200 people, 500 people, thousands of people every day.
Dude, so, it's insane. It's really, really, really insane. Whether we're talking about some of the things that get to pass through just at the grocery store. Those people are just as brave as some of the frontliners, in some of these healthcare situations. But hey, I didn't want to take too much more of your time. Thanks so much for coming out, buddy. I really appreciate you spending time in and chatting with me.
Anytime, man. I loved it. Happy to do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's a test run, so we definitely get something going back when I got this a little bit more sorted out. But I appreciate you helping me out with this.
Anytime, man. Take care. Have a good one.
All right,
Be safe.
bud. You too.
All right,
Take care.
Bye.